Islamophobic if I said that I don't think that Muhammad heard voices of an archangel. It also happens to be true, in my opinion, and you call it Islamophobic. You're just using a term which is utterly cropped term.
Douglas, I didn't define Islamophobia, so don't put words in my mouth.
Nobody has defined Islamophobia.
Well, you were trying to. If we go to Paris, go ahead. Go to Paris, go ahead.
Well, actually, I'm completely in agreement with Douglas about, this mysterious notion, Islamophobia, because one ought to be able to criticize religion the way Voltaire criticized the Catholic religion in France.
Exactly.
And there's no reason why,
right.
it should be sacred and we should not be able to criticize
Since
Islam.
we don't have someone speaking from the Muslim community here, let's listen to the president of the French Council of Islam and how he sees this issue. Let's give him a hear.
Muslims have a feeling that they're being discriminated against on this point. The religion has become the subject of a debate. Everyone is focusing on the Muslim religion. We don't understand this obsession.
Okay, since that was a Frenchman, let's go to Paris. How do you respond to that community speaking out for itself?
Well, first of all, who represent which community, and I'm not even sure, but the feeling that there are reactions about Islam are very different, because I think these are perfectly legit, and racism, which is something entirely different, which is punishable by law in France extremely stringently. Racist talk is forbidden in France. We have fewer freedoms of speech because the French have decided to tackle racism. And in terms of specific discrimination against Muslims, they are illegal. We have a number of authorities that fight against this. We have Muslim ministers in the cabinet. We have a Muslim minister in charge of specifically equalities and parity in society. I think, the two things should be very, very sort of sharply defined.
Anna Elizabeth, we're going to go to a quick break. After our break, we'll continue our discussion on the burqa and tolerance. Stay with our team.
They came to power hand in hand and left an orange trace in Ukraine's history. Scandals, fostering nationalism, and lax morals. 6 years on, presidential candidates promised to turn the tide. Changes of what color will Ukrainian people choose this time? Ukraine 2010, the Orange Legacy on RT.
Wealthy British scion Zach Wilson, investment activist
Markets, finance, scandal. Find out what's really happening to the global economy with Max Kaiser for a no-holds-barred look at the global financial headlines. Tune in to Kaiser Report on RT.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. I'm Peter Lavelle. To remind you, we're discussing whether the state has the right to forbid Muslim women to wear the burqa. But before, let's see if this is an issue in multi-confessional Russia.
Islam's place in Europe is becoming more problematic. Last July, French President Nicolas Sarkozy said the burqa, a garment covering the head or entire body, was an affront to human and civil rights, a direct challenge to the estimated 2,000 burqa wearers in France. After Switzerland voted to ban minarets, the tall spires surrounding mosques, the legality of anti-Islamic legislation is being questioned more than ever. In Russia, though, this issue hasn't been high on the agenda. A Russian Supreme Court decision giving Muslims permission to have their passport photos taken while wearing hijabs, a garment covering the head but revealing the face, sparked considerable controversy among the Russian public. According to an opinion poll, 64% opposed the decision, while only 36% approved of it. Thus, Russians oppose passport photo formats being amended to correspond with religious views. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you for that. I'd like to go to Paris again. Why has the French decided that secularization is more important than freedom of expression on this issue?
First of all, you decide that it's for secularism, which is a basic principle of the French Republic and has been for over 2 centuries, and it's got to do with freedom of expression. We're not talking here about freedom of expression because I'd like to go into the feminist issue of the burqa. And the reason why women are supposed to hide themselves entirely in this extremist vision of Islam is that otherwise they're going to inflame men. And this is the same kind of reasoning that says that if a woman is raped, it's her fault. And actually we have seen recently in other countries that women who are raped are being made guilty.
What position are you in to say this is an extreme form of Islam? Why do you say that? You're saying through your eyes that is extreme. Well, where's your tolerance then? From France, of all places, okay? I think that's really sorry, the crux
but
of it
idea
is
that
all.
half the population should be hiding behind a veil because it would excite
It's not half the population.
And the of the other half is unspeakable.
It's what? Less than 2,000 people in France.
A man. You don't know what it feels like.
Oh, I
You're
think
a man. You have
that's
no
a
idea
bit
what it's like.
You're trading apples for oranges right here. That's not fair. That's not it's not a logical argument. Douglas, if you wanted to jump in there.
It is a logical argument.
No, I don't agree.
Women and men are equal, and that's a basic and fundamental right.
Different values. We're talking about religious values,
about.
democratic values, secularization. This is what we're talking about.
This is not democratic, it is not religious, it is oppressing women, and it is telling them that they are
And what about the women that want to wear the burqa? What about the women that want to wear the burqa? You're telling them how to dress.
You'd have to find me one.
I would like to speak to those women outside the view of their husbands, fathers, and brothers.
Douglas, go ahead.
It is true that, that from the outset here, you've put a sort of false dichotomy. One of the things you asked is, who are we to say that this is extreme or fundamentalist? Any rational observer, I think, could notice this, that a belief system which believes that women have to be covered throughout their adult years in a black sack and distrusts the male half of the population. After all, the reasoning goes that those of us who are men could not help ourselves seeing even a bit of female flesh.
Douglas,
we wouldn't want we couldn't jump on it. I myself, I trust myself and my friends rather better.
How many Islamic countries have you been to?
Quite a lot. I'm going to another one next week.
And
Why?
I have too. I think a lot of people...
Okay, let's play passport
No.
games.
What I'm saying is a lot of people of Islam, Muslims, find it offensive that women walk around nude on the beach. They find that extremely offensive, okay? So, I mean, who's to say what's offensive and what's extreme, okay? It's the lens you put through it.
I'll explain to you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll explain to you.
Well, we could
which
have
is that
slavery
all
in
societies
that case.
And wait, please, Douglas, and I promise.
All societies have certain norms, values, and so on. In Western European countries, we believe that women are equal citizens, and we believe that men can be trusted not to rape women if they see a bit of their flesh. We have a different dress code on this. It is entirely acceptable for societies to decide what goes on within them, and that there are boundaries beyond which you cannot go. My society, as I stressed earlier, already has made that decision. I cannot go into certain public buildings and places, or indeed spend my whole life with a crash helmet on my head, nor could I do so with a balaclava. My society also decides, rightly or wrongly, depending on your view, that I can't walk around naked all the time. And in fact, there's a naked rambler who's been trying to walk around Britain for years and has been arrested every time because of that. We all